All right, Travis Wingoodsall. I just checked, and the clerk filed it, the motion for summary judgment. Case is closed. I have beaten the biggest Goliath the world has ever known. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a criminal organization, guilty of the most atrocious crimes. But my case was just about what they've done to me and me alone. It's not to what they've done to other people. And I beat them. I am not a lawyer. I have not taken the bar. I'm not licensed to practice. I'm just a regular citizen who used the Constitution and the rules for the federal courts and won. The case was purposely obstructed by the federal judges and the clerk, as the clerk had altered the docket specifically to stop it at updating at noon after I filed the summary judgment. And so they are claiming that the clerk filed yesterday afternoon at around 1:30, I believe it was. I put the picture up there for you, and it's already loaded. I just got to insert the video and then save it and then uploaded it to YouTube. It's a simple thing. The judge in my case had been fired. Judge First was fired. I showed in my second motion for service of process the outline of events that had occurred with both my case and Judge First, to show that she was compromised. The fact that she's been fired means that she's not going to be effective on my case. She's leaving at the end of April. She's purposely delaying the service of process, which means that I have 120 days from when I filed the amended complaint to get it filed myself, having to pay the money for someone to deliver it to the defendant. And I can't have the money. I don't have the money. I filed in forma pauperis and was approved, which means I can't pay for it. And that's why the federal courts are supposed to be granting that motion so that the U.S. Marshals deliver it. And she has neglected to approve it, which forced me to find some other way to win my case. And sure enough, after I had met with Judge First on the 1st of November, I pointed out, hey, I caught the church paying the person involved in making me disappear for 6 years of my life. They're paying this person. And so she said, okay, I won't dismiss your case then. You have 30 days to refile. And I refiled, put it in there. But what I also found out with the second motion for service of process is that the church after I had informed the judge that they were paying off this person, they then went and covered up the payments to this person, either by stopping the payments so that the person could no longer show publicly that they were getting paid by the church, or that it's now some secret arrangement. And so I reported that in the second motion for service of process to explain the urgency of getting this court case going. And Judge First still would not respond. And so, motion for recusal of not only her, but Judge Waddups, who is the overseeing judge. Judge Waddups knew she had been fired. He's Mormon, and he purposely put her over my case. Conflict of interest. No Mormon judge can be over my case against the church. It compromises them. They cannot be independent thinkers on the case. And it's different than other religions, because judges throughout the land are part of a religious affiliation of some kind. The difference with the church in Utah is that the church forces tithing payments in order to participate in the rituals. No other religion forces payments in order to participate. It's all donations. The church calls them donations. It's not donations. It's forced payment. That's a racketeering racket, protection racket. That's a crime. And the church got busted for this because I was able to put that on my case, that the church is forcing me to pay tithing in order to participate in the rituals. And even as a child, they're forcing children to pay. That's forced child labor. These are serious crimes that the church is involved in. And all they had to do was not demand tithing for ritual participation, and they could have gotten away with tons of crimes. Religions are getting away with tons of crimes, but the church especially, because of all the businesses they operate. And so they could have gotten away with it easily if they just wouldn't have the Mormons be forced to pay tithing. Then there's also the case of the pyramid scandal scheme with missionary recruitment. That's also a problem. All because of tithing. Because what do people do once they're converted to the church and baptized? They're forced to pay tithing. Thus, the pyramid scandal scheme of missionary recruitment is a crime also because the church requires tithing in order to participate in the rituals. Like I said, tithing is the key to destroying the church. It's a financial crime, it's a tax crime, it's an insurance crime. And the church got busted. And so the recusal, again, went unanswered. The recusal, however, under Rule 27, was required to be replied to within 10 days. She failed to reply within 10 days. The motion for service of process, they don't have to respond, but other motions must be responded to within 10 days according to Rule 27. And she failed. Thus came the summary judgment. Because she refused to respond, she was acting on behalf of the defendant as defense counsel. So that meant that she took possession of the complaint. because she's defense counsel, she then had received the complaint. So the service of process was done because she refused to reply and was acting on behalf of defense counsel. Shocked. I didn't expect this to happen. I expected the church to be delivered by the U.S. Marshal Service, the complaint, and then they would take their time, the full-time amount, to respond, and that the defense counsel for the church would respond by saying, we're a church, we're not allowed to be touched. And then I would say, hey guys, don't you pay tithing to the church as lawyers for the church? Oops, you're busted. Let's talk to the bar association. So I didn't get that opportunity. And so as a result, the judge took it upon herself to act on behalf of defense counsel, and by refusing to respond to the recusal, she conceded, which means she said, yeah, we're not going to challenge your motion for summary judgment. We're not challenging your motion, we're not challenging the motion for recusal. You're right, Travis. We are compromised. and thus the summary judgment. The judge admits she's compromised by refusing to reply, and by refusing to reply, she is also claiming she's acting on behalf of the defense, and that therefore the defense had received the complaint by the acting defense counsel, and thus the case is all resolved because they conceded that they're guilty, and it's over. The summary judgment is placed, and the request for relief is to be granted. Now the question now is, will they follow through and say, oops, you caught us, I guess we got to follow the rules of our own making? And so we're going to see. The summary judgment as a motion has 10 days, and as it is on the docket, so the 31st of January they must respond. And I even put it in the motion for summary judgment that though a concession will be made by the acting defense counsel on if they don't make the deadline on the 31st of January, it still I require an official order that will go public on the docket and on paper that I will receive in the mail that I had won. So we're going to see if they're going to be true to their oath of office to follow the rules of the federal court. They have to do it now. They lost. They were caught protecting the church, allowing the church to get away with crimes, and while the case was ongoing even. And they conceded that yes, the church is involved and we're covering for them, acting on their behalf. And the clerk also got caught, and they reported on the clerk, and the clerk is trying to manipulate things with the docket. So busted. Again, Mormons, you cannot commit crimes to protect the church. You cannot cover for the church. Your position in government, your position in the church, your position in business cannot protect the church from crimes. If you witness a crime committed by the church, you are required to report it. As a bishop, you must report it. This lady from Oregon or Washington who's complaining that the bishop narked on her husband, who confided in him as he's confessing to a child predator. No, bishops are not allowed to cover up crime. The church's phone number that the bishops are supposed to call, which is leading them to the legal department to protect the church against this criminal from word getting out and the church being sued for it, that has to go. You call the cops. You don't call the lawyers for the church. So that's all absurd. Yeah, businesses, you can't deny service just because they're not Mormon. You can't punish an employee because they're not Mormon. You know, you can't do that. And in government, you cannot create the Zion Curtain. You cannot raise taxes on food, starving the poor and the homeless. You can't do those things, Governor Herbert. You can't protect the church directly. Oh, they're suing the church because he was raped as a Boy Scout. No, sorry, church is responsible. Because the church didn't report it to the cops. They didn't work with the cops to prosecute this guy. They aren't excommunicating these people from the church for committing crimes. Now you're starting to see why Elder Hamula's excommunication was a really big deal. Why John P. Lee was a really big deal. Though apparently they were able to get him on child porn or child rape, or I can't remember what happened after he was excommunicated. But I mean, Mormons, you gotta stop the crime. You cannot allow this to continue. I've beaten the church. The request for relief was two things. Either hand me the keys to the church, I will take over, except for all the pending lawsuits and damages, settlements, and other obligations of compromised business dealings and all that crap, and just start over with a whole new religion. Or the church is required to sell all their assets, close all their businesses, close all the temple, church doors, sell everything, and give me a check. Those were the two options for relief. This is all or nothing. The church cannot be allowed to exist because of the seriousness of the crimes committed against me. Treason, war crimes, RICO, bigamy, hate crimes, and others. So, yeah, I'm expecting a check by Friday the 31st. As the church is going to go, what? What just happened? Who's responsible? Who do we have to have assassinated? And so, yeah, there's going to be resistance to shutting down the church also, obviously. But it's a federal order. It has to be. The judges must follow the law. And the church should be at least grateful that it's a civil case and not a criminal one. Because as civil, they don't go to prison. Though this verdict, this decision, is a clear indicator that there are crimes having been committed and must be punished in a court of law for crimes. But we'll see what happens. Personally, I think the court is going to violate the law and ignore me. I don't know how they can, because on the 120-day mark, if they come out and say, hey, you forgot to file, Travis, they can't. It's already on the public docket that I'm filed for a summary judgment, and the judge refused to respond. That I put in there that they accepted the complaint on behalf of the defense. And so I don't see them as being able to get away with it, even though that's probably what they're going to do. Because that's how corrupt things are. So we'll see. Now it's just the waiting game. Oh, and by the way, although I've lost interest by you guys with my new sex ed videos, I got some more. I've got conversion therapy, the harmful effects of porn, and scripture porn. So lots of fun stuff that I would love to share with you guys, if I could only generate interest.